Thanks a lot and welcome to our next session to talk about the Balkan enlargement. The Western Balkan, as it's called, 6 countries, and they will be very much in the focus of this very important week where we have so many celebrations of Europe and so many commemorations of the tragic past. So this very fragile part of Europe where just recently, 25 years ago, there was still war raging. I think it's very important, or actually it's in the last one, the 2000, so it's actually just 20 years ago. The Balkans very much matters for Europe, and it's a bit repetitive, I know, to say the future is in Europe, and I really restrain from saying that, but it's obvious that this is very much important for everybody, for our credibility, for the people who live there, but for the whole of the European Union. I think to have a speedy and fast future of the 6 countries in the European Union is very, very important. And we have now this summit coming up. It's a virtual summit on the 6th of May. And I would like to make some statements to this summit to discuss very much what is needed. First of all, there are 2 categories of countries from these 6 countries in question: the NATO members and the non-NATO members. And this matters very much. It matters absolutely because it shows the direction a country wants to go. It is the alliance system, the value system, the principles, and the cooperation in crises. And this also you see now in the corona crisis. And it's very important if you are in NATO or not. 3 countries are already. This is Albania, Montenegro, and this is North Macedonia. And 3 countries are not. And this is Bosnia, Kosovo, and this is Serbia. 2 of them, by the way, are secured by NATO. That's also very important because ultimately the security guarantee for Kosovo and for Bosnia lies with the Western Alliance, with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, via liberating these countries, via securing them ever since, and for a long term to be until they are member of NATO, when they are part of the alliance system fully, which actually hopefully will be very soon. So ultimately these are the dividing lines: NATO, non-NATO. And it's not about any other criteria. This is the most important one. And so we can, from that analysis, we can then deduct the next steps. That means when should these countries be in the European Union? Now, hopefully everybody soon, yeah? But obviously there are certain criteria you have to fulfill, from the regulatory accession to the compliance with EU policy and so on and so on. But NATO policy, because 93% of the European Union citizens are in NATO, it's quite more or less the same. There might be some differences on some smaller aspects, maybe also on bigger aspects. We always have this issue of Iran and other issues, appeasement. But nevertheless, in principle, the common security, foreign policy and NATO policy is not so different. Obviously, it's the same people. It's the same German Chancellor, it's the same French President, it's the same Dutch Prime Minister, it's the same Spanish Prime Minister, and actually thanks a lot for Mr. Sanchez now the first time and participate, and hopefully that's a first step to recognize also the Republic of Kosovo, and I hope that will happen as well, because that's what we can expect from mature political elites, to somehow understand what is happening in the world, even when it's a bit distant and not so related. But it's very important to have a full recognition of Kosovo. So coming back to the summit, now I would like to make very clear that countries who are in NATO should be very fast into the European Union. But of course, we should also ask them for 2 further criteria to be fulfilled. And the first one is to adopt the euro as the common currency, because it's very good for faster convergence for the countries, for the consumers, for the citizens, obviously. It's much easier for the businesses, for the investors, for the many Albanians, Macedonians, Montenegrins who live in the euro area, sending money back, which is probably the most important foreign direct investment remittances ultimately, and will continue to be after this crisis. And it will be very hard hit by the crisis, the periphery. So it's much more important than ever that anyhow the Macedonian currency is pegged already, so it's a currency board system of the Macedonian dinar, so that's very easy, but also the Albanian leg to adopt the euro and to join not the currency zone fully, that's impossible, that needs first membership and then the whole political process to be approved, but to adopt it like Montenegro and Kosovo, and so to have basically the euro everywhere in the Balkans for all countries who really want to join fast. And also to accept what I propose, a new system of membership minus a certain supervised membership, because there are many various proposals now in the room what to do, but I'm actually for membership in the European Union, not for any kind of EFTA or permanent customs union, or I'm for political integration for the NATO countries. Yeah? First NATO, then political integration, but obviously, as we have seen it with Romania and Bulgaria, and there such a system, it was called certification and verification mechanism, was introduced after membership. And we should tell it very openly to the 3 countries in question, or to all 6 countries, and actually also to Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia, that the new form of membership is a full political membership, full economic membership, full cohesion membership, full benefits and full rights for your citizens, but with some kind of verification and, if you want to call it, assisted membership or supervised membership. I call it membership minus. You maybe find a nice term for that, yeah. But this is necessary to convince our skeptical elites and electorates in the European Union to have such a kind of a membership status, which is with voting rights. But when you really consistently fail to improve the corruption, or you consistently really do a lot of things which are not good, like we should have done that already for the Hungarians and for the Romanians in reality, yeah? But okay, that was the past, but the new members for sure to join very fast, be inside, so faster convergence, faster benefits, faster progress of prosperity, but on that level that, the standards must be really enforced, compliance fulfilled, and, when you really consistently don't order your civil servants to perform or are involved in some kind of dodgy schemes, to skim off EU funds, or when you mock our currency like Mr. Orban does, well, then there will be a suspension of voting rights for the political elite. The people will be not affected. Just, the leaders can then sit at the council meetings or in parliament, just raise the hand, but it will not be counted. That's what I call a very good form of a membership minus, where this power to suspend voting rights is granted to the other colleagues in the Council of the European Union and in the European Parliament, in case that some parliamentarians are corrupt, or that the funds are abused, or the progress in adopting and enforcing European standards in the new members is not really satisfactorily. And this kind of, maybe some people won't like it, maybe some people will be against it. You don't have to join so fast. You can also join in 10, 20, 30 years, yeah? But it's much better to join in 3 years. And I think for the NATO members, if they adopt the euro and if they accept membership minus, with some additions maybe to be found, depending a little bit on the preparation level of the current rule of law situation and administration level. But not to postpone membership for 10, 20 years, or like Mr. Macron has said, for the middle of the 2030s. No, membership in 3 years in this mandate, that shows strength, that shows leadership of the European Union. We just unfortunately lost the British, but we are ready to take 3 NATO members in this mandate. And that shows clarity after Corona. That shows also economic and political vision for the whole of Eastern Europe. And that shows to the world that we are totally able to settle our internal issues in Europe. And then we can go to the African Union, to ASEAN, to China, and to be somehow a relevant factor. Also for the euro, we will only be relevant if we really enlarge the Eurozone, also including Ukraine and the whole Eastern Europe. Then it's a relevant currency. It's not, the grandstanding on the global scale without having done your homework. That is absolutely wrong. So Coming back to the Balkans, I made already the point about NATO, about the Euro, about membership minus. And now let's discuss why it's also very important to have a division between the group of 6. I will not mention so much Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia, but you know already that I think they also should join in the second package. But I have made several different videos about the situation in Ukraine, and I will talk about Moldova and Georgia. But this summit is now for the Balkan 6, but it's a group of 2. Why? Because not only NATO, but also Macedonia and Albania and Montenegro have settled most of the issues already. They are mature political units. Obviously, Albania still has a political fight every day. Okay, that's maybe the southern mentality and won't change anyhow inside, outside the European Union. That's simply how they do politics with maybe southern passion, if you want to call it. We have a lot of this in Greece and in Italy, good or bad, but that's the reality, and it can only be better inside the European Union. Montenegro very advanced already in most EU topics and regulation. Anyhow, there is no question that Montenegro should be, for sure, it's the front runner, not Serbia, but Montenegro. It's in any mentality, in the compliance, in the task, Montenegro is ready. And so is, of course, Macedonia is very advanced. It's already since 2005 December, it's already a candidate, and for a reason, and they have worked on it. Obviously, they had all these political crises, which are really luckily settled now, I think, conclusively with Prespa agreement with Greece, but also internally there is hopefully a much more cohesive political consensus developing. At least I'm optimistic on that one, especially inside NATO now, a major success, and with EU candidate status and the start of negotiation. But we shouldn't keep that back burning for decades, a la Macron. But for this mandate, and we can discuss 2022, 2023, but on the 1st of May 2024, in the Unity and Enlargement Day, the day when 20 years ago, when the other 10 countries joined, on this day, these 3 countries, Albania, Montenegro, North Macedonia, must be full member with a victory and a unity parade, and in this way to go into the next European election more united as a Europe of 30 members. This is leadership. This is serious, And this is what we should do. And not blah blah for 2035 or whatever. This is the right way to do it. And this shows also to Russia, to China, to the Americans, our allies and friends, but also to everybody else that we are totally able to settle our issues internally in Europe and also to unite. We are attractive as a union, and we will be also developing the success of Central and Eastern Europe very systematically with our freedom and prosperity project called the European Union. I want to reiterate that the EU has celebrated very much statistically and with a lot of facts and figures the success of enlargement last year when it was 15 years, on the 1st of May, on the Day of Unity and European Enlargement. I hope one day the 1st of May will be transformed into that day, not the Day of Workers, but the Day of European Unity and Enlargement, because this we should celebrate as a